Of course, those know that you can hear all Kansas City Chiefs radio broadcasts on our Harrison and Fort Smith affiliates. Danan Hughes is the radio analyst for the Kansas City Chiefs radio network. You heard the call of Mitch Holthus from their victory over the Atlanta Falcons recently. And Danan, good to give us a little bit of his time here, and we'll talk some NFL playoffs. Hi, Danan. How's it going today?
Hey, what's going on, guys? How you guys doing?
We're good. We're good. Excited for this weekend of NFL playoffs because the top seeds will now get involved. And, I mean, one thing that stands out about the Chiefs right now, I feel like too many people are paying attention to winning close games and not blowing teams out. Danan, when I see a team that wins close games on a consistent basis, I see an extremely dangerous team that makes big plays at big moments. I'm not paying attention to scoring margin. I'm paying attention to record in close games. And when you look at how good Kansas City has been these last 2 years in games decided by one score, it's no wonder they're the favorites heading into this weekend against the Browns and for the rest of the NFL playoffs.
You know what? You hit the nail on the head because, we always talk about teams and having identities, whether it's the Ravens of the early 2000s or, the greatest show on turf. There are teams out there that have identities, and what we have to face, whether we like it or not, there are going to be people that detract from their accomplishments, but this team, with the greatness that they have, part of their identity is that they win close games. Like, there is a lot worse. There's a lot worse that you could be known for than, like, winning close games. And so I don't necessarily understand the criticism about that, but I also do understand that this team wins the Super Bowl first time in 50 years. They come back, stay relatively healthy, expected pretty much all season to repeat. There has to be something to talk about, and that's the storyline that seems to have become more prevalent, is are we the real deal because we play close games? Well, if you look at some of the scores in games against playoff teams, those scores weren't necessarily close. We played the Ravens, won by multiple scores. We played the Bills. We won by multiple scores. We played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, much closer than it really should have been, but we were beating them up so bad they just scored a couple of points, scored a couple late. I just think that this team recognizes and has recognized, and Travis Kelce said it best, not that they were discounting the season, but they wanted, if they could have woke up a week after the Super Bowl and played in the playoffs, they would have done it. They've been waiting for this playoff opportunity all season long, and they're just ready. And regardless of what the scores were, not covering the point spread, being favorites in just about every game, and, losing to the Raiders, as bad as they played, they've been able to beat teams with their C to C plus efforts when the other teams have played their A to A plus efforts. And this team they just figure out ways to win, and I think it's cool.
It's interesting when you put it that way, because it's like I remember a time when Michael Jordan was criticized that he couldn't win the big game. Everybody forgets about that now. So, you've covered this Chiefs team for a while, whether it's been in the booth or on the sidelines. So, when did this mentality start? Because when you talk about a team that knows how to win close games, that means they're calm. That means they have faith in their leaders and their coach. They don't let one player, one bad quarter, one bad half, ruin them for the rest of the game or the rest of the season. When did this start for this Chiefs team? Was it winning the Super Bowl? Was it the hiring of Andy Reid? Was it Patrick Mahomes? What do you think would be at the top of the list that got this team that mentality?
You know what? I don't know if you can pinpoint one specific date. I actually think that there are multiple times where you just continued to add to it. Like, you hire Andy Reid. After the debacle that we went through with Todd Haley and Scott Pioli and Romeo Crennel in the interim, we significantly upgraded to Andy Reid. And he came in with a culture, or establishing a culture that was different than we had experienced in several years, probably since the Herm Edwards or Vermeil days. Then we start winning. We have a quarterback in Alex Smith that doesn't make mistakes, didn't make a bunch of big plays, but didn't really put you in a position to lose games. You always felt like you were in it. Then you upgraded at that position to Patrick Mahomes. So it's tough to pinpoint one specific time where you said, okay, this is how this team rolls. I just think it's been accumulating over years of production in showing that, these guys just know how to win. They have a confidence in themselves. You never see them freaking out. You never see them in a position of chaos on the sideline. They just play, and they just play the entire 60 minutes. And when other teams are worried about the comeback ability of Patrick Mahomes, we're playing. When other teams are worried about if they got enough points on the board, should they go for two in certain situations when 99% of the time they would not go for two against any other team, we're still playing. And I think that's really just the mindset. There isn't, from the coaches down, there just isn't that mindset of, like when we played John Harbaugh the last couple of times, they started to do things that just weren't in their identity, especially going back to last year. They were going for 2-point conversions early in the game when the game was still unfolding because they felt like they needed to score as many points as possible. Well, if that's not your identity, then you put now that trickles down to the players. A lot of the teams that were successful against us last year were the Houston Texans early, the Indianapolis Colts early in the season, the Tennessee Titans. They all did it by the run. They all did it with a very good run game, kept the Chiefs on the sideline as far as the offense, and they were able to prevail. And this year, you would think other teams, because it's a copycat league, you would think other teams would try to take that remedy and that menu and try to use it. And you'd be amazed at how many teams just get away from their run game because they're trying to score 9-point touchdowns so that they don't have to get in a shootout. And it doesn't work for them. So Patrick Mahomes has been outstanding. I don't think he's lost any game in his career by more than one score. So it's just one of those deals where you have a quarterback that knows how to win close games and knows how to put the team in position to win even when they lose close games.
Danan Hughes of the Kansas City Chiefs Radio Network joining us here on Halftime. Danan, let's get your thoughts real quick on the Chiefs-Browns matchup and the Cleveland Browns. Danan, they've taken the NFL by storm after the destruction they put on the Pittsburgh Steelers, 28-0 in the end of the first quarter. And I'm definitely pulling for the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs will win convincingly, but Danan, the Chiefs can't take the Browns lightly because, the Browns have talent despite whatever we want to say about them. Baker Mayfield has had an incredible year so far. Nick Chubb as well. Chiefs are going to have their hands full, but what about the Browns to you do the Chiefs need to stop first? Like, where's point A that you need to stop on the Browns?
Number 1 point, and there isn't really a close number 2. The number 1 point to me is the run game. Stopping their run game. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt are the best 1-2 punch in the NFL, bar none. The production shows it. Their abilities to catch the ball out of the backfield. They have the innate ability. I remember you go back to the 80s and the 90s when I was playing in the 90s. All the talk. I played with Marcus Allen, one of the greatest to play. The nod and the comments that you hear about those great running backs, Emmitt Smith, Barry Sanders, Marcus Allen, etc., is that they never fall backwards. You always see them fall forward. So that tells you that they're always getting that extra half a yard to yard after contact. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt are 2 of the top 5 in the NFL at that quality. Nick Chubb is one of the best after contact runners this season. He's also one of the best fourth quarter running backs. I believe he averages almost over 10 yards a carry in the fourth quarter. That's concerning for this Chiefs organization, especially without, if you want to look at one of the things that we don't really do well or haven't, it's probably run defense. So I just am really concerned about if we're going to step up to that challenge.
Danan's got an interesting history. He's a guy from New Jersey who played football and baseball at Iowa, had a professional baseball career and an NFL career, caught passes from Joe Montana, and has been on the Chiefs radio network for a few years. Danan, man, you've been around and you've been all over the place. You've had an interesting life, my friend.
Yeah, I probably should have just instead of buying a house, I probably should have just got an apartment inside the locker room. I mean, a locker room or clubhouse, that seems to be where I've spent most of my time in my life. But that's how I grew up, playing 3 sports, got a chance to play 2 sports in college, and then into the pros, played 2 years with the Brewers before coming to the Chiefs. And I still broadcast college baseball, college basketball, and college football. So, you know, I'm a lifer. I'm a lifer in this sports world, and it's been really exciting, really fun.
One of the things I loved when I met Danan at Razorback Stadium in September is that he was watching amateur baseball on his iPad first, because I think that might be really close to your heart. And before I let you go here, Danan, guys, Danan Hughes and I share a home ballpark of sorts, because I worked for the Helena Brewers in 1998. That's Helena, Montana. Danan played for that team in the early 90s. So, Danan, if I would ask you to describe what Kendrick Legion Field looked like, what would you say?
Man, I just feel like it was an awesome experience. I will tell you that it was the first time I played at Iowa where we got snowed out of games in March and April, really cold. We got snowed out in June or July up in Helena, and then the next day it was 80 degrees and sunny. So that tells you about that experience up in the mountains. It was just a town that really adopted the minor league team. We stayed with host families. It was just really, really cool. But I got some pictures of those days, and you see the, what do you call it, the chicken wire and fencing and stuff like that. It's just really cool. It was a fun time.
Thanks for taking a step back with me there, Danan. I appreciate it. Have a great call this weekend.
Thanks,
we'll be listening.
No problem, guys. Thank you, guys.
You got it. I remember, too, we'd do a game in Butte. I did a game in Butte in 36 degrees, and it was snowing. The ballpark I referenced there, Kendrick Legion Field, was made out of wood. If you would have dropped a lit match in that stadium, look out.
That's cold right there.
And you could see the Rockies. I mean, it was right there in your face. It was absolutely a stunning place to be. Another stunning place to be is 906 Cocktail and Cigar Lounge in the Fort. Go to 906lounge.com and find their menu, their events, and great photos. Get you a sense of what you're going to hang out in, a comfortable environment for all guests. Plus, they spared no expense when they brought in the 906 ventilation system, designed in an effort to create a pleasant and enjoyable environment that's going to replace the air inside the lounge every 4 minutes. Open till 11 tonight. That's 906lounge.com to learn more there at 906 Garrison in the Fort. Halftime homework next.